A YouTube show with more pouches than a cable drawing from 1996? Why, it must be 7 Minutes with Kevin, and I'm your host, Kevin Michael Rowe. What is up, party people? Welcome back to 7 Minutes with Kevin. Today's episode is fantastic, if I say so myself. This is not your typical comic book. This is Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios tour from 1993. This is just like a little guidebook, like showing like it's like a who's who in the Extreme Studios, like different artists and whatnot. And it is a time capsule to like the 1990s in comic books and fashion, and it is amazing, and it was worth the 50 cents or $1, however much I paid for it at that antique store that I found it in. So without further ado, we're just going to open her up and take a look. I mean, just like look at all these guys, like look at these pictures right here. Like it is 90s exceptionalism at its finest. This is Danny Mickey down here in the corner. He actually looks like he's been listening to hair metal a little bit too long, but he's still holding on to it. And then right here, I don't know who these jerks are, but they definitely look like they were auditioning to be the bad boy in a boy band. Like probably Donnie Wahlberg and New Kids on the Block, but they both couldn't make it. So let's just open up and see who we got here. So starting off, oh, look, it's Rob Liefeld. Fine purveyor of feet and 90s exceptionalism. You know, the thing about Rob is that he's still making comics and he has a very, very loyal fan base. I do like some of his work and I like making fun of some of his work, but you know, he's been a working professional since the late 80s, early 90s. So I guess that's saying something, but I will say that I love his Todd McFarlane impression, and you should go check out some of his interviews or even his own podcast, Robservations, where he is he goes on and on about stuff that may or not be true, but his Todd McFarlane impression is top notch. And like, look at those little feet right there. Look at him. You know, like he's blacked that one out, so you can't even really see it. That's great. Up next is Brian Murray. A lot of these guys I really didn't know at the time, 93, even though I was reading comics, but I was just getting whatever I could find at like Drug Mart, or Rini Rigo in Northeast Ohio. So a lot of these names I didn't discover till later, if I ever heard him at all. But Brian Murray, it doesn't seem like he does a lot of comic book work anymore these days, but he does a lot of storyboarding and concept art. I checked his website. He worked on that evil Superman movie that James Gunn produced called Brightburn, and he did some work on Spider-Man Far From Home. And you look at this picture right here, this 90s icon supreme in all of his glory, and this definitely looks like it was from like 1993. And then Brian, like sensible dresser, unlike some other people that you'll see coming up here. Up next is another person whose name I didn't know till I looked through this book, is Marat Michaels. I am sorry if I'm mispronouncing anyone's names. Interesting backstory. You know, he was born in Kiev. He immigrated to the United States, and then grew up here and started making comics. And, you know, he's done some work for Marvel and DC, but I think recently all he's done is just a couple of variant covers and whatnot. I think usually inking over another like former Extreme Studios members' work, but he's looking dashing in this jeans and tucked in long shirt combo. Up next, this is it's a coupon for Extreme Comics number 0. Now, I did a little research, not much. This is all hastily put together because I don't want to dedicate a lot of time to it. This is just for fun. And I don't know if this book ever came out. Like a lot of like those old 90s books, like could just been hyped up forever. But I think I am going to submit the coupon anyway to see if I get it. Up next, Frag. The only thing I'm going to say two things about Dan Fraga. I don't talk about Comicsgate. I won't participate in Comicsgate. I don't agree with Comicsgate. And I don't want to associate with people who are part of Comicsgate, like Dan Fraga. Also, based on this photo alone, you can definitely tell that he is in Comicsgate or friends with people from Comicsgate. And we're going to move on from there. Up next, Danny Mickey, legendary inker. It says here that he also like designed some drum heads and stuff for bands like as varied as Rat and Great White. Not much variance there, both extreme 80s hair metal bands, as you can tell from this picture here. But the cool thing is in the top right-hand corner, Norm Rappamon looking like the Mirror Universe version of Danny Mickey. I hope they both look alike, and I hope they still get confused at conventions. Richard Horry, I couldn't really find much about him, but in this picture, he looks like a dad who's disappointed in his kid's life choices. Up next, look at this well-dressed comic book genius, Eric Stevenson. I will not say, that's all I'm going to say about that, because I might want to pitch a book to Image one day, and he's fantastic. Kurt Hathaway, he's a letterer. I recently read Elvira's House of Mystery put out by DC in the 80s, and he was the letterer on that. Pretty interesting. And this picture is dope because he looks like a 90s stand-up comedian. Paul Scott and Chuck Jones, no idea who they are. Looked them up. They haven't really done much work. Chap Yap, or Yape, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Dude was 20 years old when he was in this book. 20 years old when he started making comics. I don't think he makes them anymore, but he's like living the dream before he could even drink legally. That's great. Brian Tallman, probably listening to Sublime somewhere. No idea who he is. No idea where he's from. And then on the next page, we have Chapel, the guy who killed Spawn. So that's great, head of security. And then here's a little montage. There's the famous picture of Eazy-E with Rob Liefeld. And then here on the back, it's kind of interesting. So here's a photo of what I believe is the Extreme Studios crew. But in the middle, there's a woman, and she is not listed in this book at all. I don't know if she's a fan. I don't know if she was just a friend of someone's, but you would think if she's going to be in this group picture in the back with all the other Extreme Studio people, that they would have an entry for her in there. But they don't. But that's those comics in the 90s. So now we're wrapping this up. Extreme Tour 93. Hopefully these guys reunite this year in 2023. 40 years later? 30 years later. And I suck at math, and they will make another version of this. All right. Take it easy, everybody. This was a great time. And hugs and kisses, Kevin Michael Rowe. Peace. You can find more of my work over at www.hopefulromantics.com. That's HOPEFULROWEMANTICS. You can also follow me on Twitter at KMichaelRowe and then Instagram at Kevin Michael Rowe.